He mocked my janitor dad all year, then the cops showed up for his dad at school. Did you know my janitor dad could wreck your whole family's future in one morning? My sophomore year, Tyler decided my life was a joke because my dad cleaned the school. Every time he saw me, he'd pretend to mop the hallway while his friends laughed. "Maybe your dad can clean up your grades too," he'd shout. If I tried to walk past, he'd shove me into lockers, and someone would always have a phone out like it was entertainment. At lunch, he'd knock my tray so food hit the floor, then stand there smiling while I cleaned it up. He'd sniff the air and tell people I smelled like bleach. Between classes, he'd trail me to my locker making loud gag sounds so a crowd would turn and stare. Then he found out I worked after school at the diner by the highway. I did it because money was tight, and I didn't want my dad carrying everything alone. Tyler started showing up on purpose. He'd slide into my section with friends, order the cheapest stuff, and treat it like a stage. They'd dump sugar on the table, smear ketchup on the booth, and laugh while I wiped it up with a rag that smelled like old coffee. Tyler would hold his phone up and say, "Smile," like he was filming a joke. He kept sending me back and forth for napkins and refills, snapping his fingers like I was a dog. When I dropped the check, he left pennies and a note that said, "Buy soap," and made sure I saw him posting the video. He tagged my name in the diner, so people I didn't know saw it too. The next day, kids played it loud on the bus while Tyler watched me like he was daring me to react. I tried to ignore him, but that only made him louder. I told a teacher once. Tyler played sweet for a day, then cornered me in the stairwell and whispered, "Snitch," right in my ear. After that, he timed it for places without adults. He'd bump me in the hallway, slap my books out of my hands, then laugh while I picked them up. If I hurried away, he'd call after me, "Run, mop boy," so people would turn their heads. He started rumors my dad stole things from classrooms. Kids stared at my backpack like I had their stuff in it. Even people who never spoke to me before started repeating his lines just to fit in. Things hit a breaking point during parent-teacher conferences in November. The school was packed with parents, and I went into the bathroom to breathe for a second. Tyler was there with two friends. He blocked the door and grinned like he'd been waiting. "Perfect," he said, then grabbed the back of my neck and shoved my face toward a toilet bowl. My nose was inches from the water. The smell made my eyes burn. "Better practice now," he said, squeezing harder. "You'll be cleaning these for rich families forever, just like your dad." One of his friends laughed and lifted a phone to record. I twisted free, stumbled out, and tried to act normal in a hallway full of adults. That night, my dad came home late, looking wiped out. He still had his schoolwork shirt on, but his face was tight like he'd been in meetings, not mopping floors. He dropped his keys, sat at the table, and rubbed his forehead. I started to tell him what happened, then stopped, because he'd warned me not to talk about his other job at school. My dad wasn't only a janitor. He was a licensed private investigator, and the janitor job was cover. People ignore the cleaning guy. Doors get left unlocked, papers get left on desks. Nobody asks questions when he's there after hours. I'd seen it at home, too, when he thought I was asleep. Him at the laptop, printer humming, stacks of papers sliding into a plain folder that was labeled supplies. For months, he'd been working a case at Tyler's dad's company. There was a charity fund that was supposed to send money to shelters and children's programs. Donations kept coming in, but the totals didn't match. Money was disappearing in small chunks, then bigger ones. My dad tracked it, page by page. He photographed invoices, copied emails, and followed transfers that shouldn't exist. He listened outside offices while pushing his cart, catching bits of conversations about moving numbers and keeping it quiet. The main name tied to it was Tyler's dad. My dad didn't rush it. He built a clean file, met with investigators, and handed over evidence. Then he waited for warrants, because Tyler's dad had money and lawyers. The next morning, I was in first period staring at a worksheet when sirens cut through the windows. Our teacher stopped talking. Everyone ran to the glass. Outside, police cars and an unmarked SUV boxed in a shiny BMW near the pickup line. I saw Tyler's dad in a suit, arguing with an officer like this was a mistake. Then an officer read from a paper, turned him around, and snapped cuffs on his wrists. Tyler was in class too. He looked out, then looked straight at me. The color drained from his face, and for once, he didn't have a single thing to say. Now they're saying I enjoyed it too much watching those sirens. Was I wrong?